Conversations and Opinions. We're going to be talking about the famous Will Smith slap today. So we have some guests with us that we're going to introduce, and we're just going to have a conversation on our thoughts on the Will Smith Oscar Award slap. I have Michael Muhammad, who's going to be with us, Rico, Zedric, Hakim, and Kenyatta.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to Conversations and Opinions, guys.
We're not going to do y'all like they did back in the old days with church. If you're a visitor, go on and stand up right now.
Right. At the church house. Right. We have any visitors, please stand.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate you guys joining us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some on short notice.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the hot topic, the slap heard around the world.
Girl, yes, that slap was heard far around the world.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to, okay?
So let's just take an opening consensus. And tell the truth. When it first happened, did anybody agree when it first happened? Did anybody kind of do the whole clap? Yeah, stand up for his woman. 1, 2, 3, raise your hand.
Agree that he should have stood up for her.
My initial reaction, I'm just saying from the beginning, at the very beginning, not with all the emotional intelligence you've been hearing now. In the very beginning, I was one of those people who felt like he was protecting his wife in the beginning. So the rest of you, is it safe to assume that you thought he was dead wrong from the jump?
Mm-hmm. No, is it open forum? We can speak.
The floor is open.
So,
go ahead, Rico. What you got?
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really watch TV like that too much. I don't really have cable. I just have internet. I'm trying to be a millionaire every time I'm 50, so I don't have time to watch TV, right?
Speak it, Rico. Go ahead.
But from what I've seen on social media when I first seen it, I thought it was something that they had set up. I thought it was a setup. I didn't think it was real until I started looking into it more. And then when I seen how Will Smith was cursing back at him, keep my wife's name out your mouth, I said, oh, that boy's hurt. He's hurt. So, I could go further into it, but I know we have questions and everything like that we have to answer. But that was my initial reaction. I just thought it was a setup. So I didn't think either or, if he was protecting her or whatever. I just thought it was a setup.
Okay, so I got a question because I been looking at a lot of YouTube, and most men have been saying, well, let me back up. I listened to Shaq's podcast, and Shaq was like, yeah, I would have did the same thing because he did something similar, okay? Then I listened to Steve Harvey, and Steve Harvey was like, he was wrong. There was a time and a place. He should have handled that at the after party. Then I forget who the other one was that I was listening to, and they said, oh, it's on Shaq's podcast. He was like, what I would have did is I would have walked on stage and I would have whispered in his ear, turn off your mic and tell him, I'm going to see you after this. And then Stephen A. Smith, who's the sports commentator, was like, he was dead wrong and he lucky he didn't get his behind kicked because he didn't see or he didn't know the entourage that Chris Rock had with him. So do you think he should have waited or did any of the scenarios I just mentioned, or he shouldn't have touched him at all?
I honestly think he should have waited and he should have talked it out. Being that him and Chris Rock know each other, I believe they're friends. You know, they've been hanging out before. look, Chris Rock is a comedian, you know. That's what happens. I've been to comedy shows where they roasted me before. I mean, that's what I paid for. I paid to come. I know they didn't pay to go there, but I'm just saying he's a comedian. So I think he should have did that. If he really felt some type of way, he could have handled that off camera instead of doing what he did. So I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I don't agree with what Will did at all.
Peace. Can I say something?
Yeah.
If we know anything about television, they got from a teleprompter. So he's not the initial writer of the jokes.
Tarvis, you were saying how Steve Harvey and all those people spoke up. Well, I listened to Corey Holcomb today. You know, Corey Holcomb said a lot of bogus stuff regarding the red table talks and their personal life. I just feel like when you give your personal life to a very public world, you open yourself up for ridicule. And people assume things when it's none of their business. In this case, Corey Holcomb called Jada a lot of filthy words because of what they might have did privately. You know, because they open up to the world, you know, giving all the tea on themselves. So with that, you know, he felt the need to say whatever he felt about her. But at the end of that whole conversation, that is still his wife, and he felt the need to protect her at the time. You know, because that was a very sensitive subject to crack a joke on when she shared that publicly, how she was wrestling, struggling with that. So I think that, like I said, I don't condone how he handled it.
Okay.
But that should have been another way. Like you said, it could have been at the after party, have a drink, talk about it, smoke a cigar, whatever they do to relax. No, nothing that will end in no one getting hit, you know, and embarrassed. On the year that a black guy produced the Oscars. I mean, the Oscars, you know, that was just
big
hard.
moment, history. But word on the street is there had been some conversation between Will and Chris prior to about Chris making jokes about Jada. So I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's fake. I don't know.
I mean,
I heard the same thing, but it stemmed from when they protested the Oscars a few years ago. And he made that joke about her, you know, so it could have stemmed from that. It could have stemmed from other stuff, you know, stuff with August Alsina and all kind of stuff that's been going on that's been made public. So it could have been him defending her in cases he may allow stuff to happen. So he had to put up this, I'm not saying front, but some kind of facade to, I guess, to make it look like something that is not. Maybe I'm not making sense. I don't know, but
you understand what you're saying.
It maybe forced him to do something to kind of take the attention off of stuff that was clearly hurting her feelings. Because initially, if you looked at the film, he laughed. Right. Then he looked at her expression.
Yeah.
And that's when he decided to step in then. But up until that point, it was funny to him too.
I know there's a lot of people who are upset with what Will did, and everybody is saying that maybe that was not the time or the place to do what he did. But if we flip that, then why isn't everyone saying, was that the right time for Chris to do what he did, even though he's a comedian? And the reason why I say that is because, number one, this is a man that put out a documentary about
hair.
Black hair, period. But it mostly focused on Black women. So when he did the documentary, he already knew that that was a sensitive subject.
Right.
So when he did the joke, with what Mike was going to go into, that had nothing to do with whether it was scripted or not, because it wasn't scripted. The guy who was over the show, who was basically behind the scenes and running the show, he said that when Chris said what he said, that he was more or less freestyling. So he chose to focus on that and then take it to that level. Now, one of the brothers made the comment that both of them were laughing. A lot of people, when they are offended by something, they have certain gestures that they do.
Correct.
They may look a certain way.
Right.
Sometimes they may laugh just to play it off as far as how they really feel.
Right.
When I looked at the video footage, to me, I don't think they were laughing to cover up how they really felt. And it just got to the point where, as he kept going, he had to let loose. Now, that may have been stemming from, what you were saying earlier about the Corey Holcomb show, and where they were talking about the round table discussions, to where they're putting their business out codes. These people are basically opening themselves up, whether you agree with that or not. And Will and Jada are going through some serious relationship issues. So
Yes.
all of that may have come to the point where when Chris said what he said, it boiled over. It was at a tipping point until when he said what he said, it tipped over. And for every action, there's an opposite reaction. And that may have been the reason why it played out the way it played out.
Yeah, I agree.
But in my opinion, I feel like he should have broke his jaw.
Oh, yes, indeed.
That he mentioned about them laughing in the beginning, when people kept saying it in the beginning, I'm like, I'm a person who, when I'm engaged in a combative situation, that's a natural go-to for me, is to laugh or to try to de-escalate myself, so I don't turn all the way up.
Right.
So for me, when I saw the laughter, even if he was laughing in the beginning and she was too, how many times have you ever been engaged in a conversation with somebody and you're joking and you go too far and you see the look on their face change and you're like, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that way, or I apologize, I didn't mean to offend you. We've all been in a conversation with somebody where we were saying something or had a rough conversation, and either somebody took it a little too far with you, and while you may have been smiling 5 seconds ago, now your face is very serious, or the flip. You're joking around with somebody and you see that it actually hurt their feelings and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I apologize. So to the people who are saying that he was laughing at it first and he didn't get mad until she got mad, I don't believe that. I believe that sometimes your loved ones get hurt in a situation and you see their reaction to something, so it naturally changes your mood about the situation too. So,
see, I have a completely different thought process on this. Like, my whole thought process is, I don't even think it was the joke that bothered him. I think it's escalated to other stuff that they put out about them, and that was just the last straw. Because interviews prior to this, you could tell that he was a little irritated with certain questions that people was giving him. Like, he was getting a little bit agitated. So I feel like they opened their self up, and now they're not, like, this is the first time they've really opened their self up, and it's coming at them hard with, like, their relationship issues coming out, their family, and I think he's just not for it. And I think Chris was the one that took the hit for it. But I don't think, because my thought process is he's a comedian. Whether we we got comedians talking about fat people. We got comedians talking about people who got cancer. We got comedians talking about all kind of things. That's right. We just went to a DL Hughley show, and nobody wanted to get VIP tickets because you know what happens.
But to say that people, just because that's his profession and he just gonna do what he do, that doesn't mean that my reaction has to be because this guy's profession is this.
Correct.
That's what he's doing. Like,
I'm not saying that
you kind of professions.
Right, but if that was the case, Will knows what happens in that particular. He's not new to this. You go there, you sit in the front, and they roast him. If you can't handle this, he has enough money and enough power. He was able to punch somebody on TV and sit back in his seat and enjoy the rest of the show. Will has enough power that he could have handled that in a totally different way. Like, anybody could, that wouldn't have went. No one else could. There's not so many black men that could have went up on that stage, punched him in his face, and sat back down throughout enjoy the rest of the show. That's just, to me, I love Will, and I'm not even a fan of Chris Rock's. Like, I don't think he's funny. I don't like his jokes. I never really cared for him in that way. But to me, just looking at the situation, it's like, it's other ways that he could have handled that. And everybody's human, I agree. But if we're talking about right and wrong, I mean, I can think of a million different ways he could have handled that. Because his reaction to me was very calculated.
All right, let's say we flip that, because everyone is pissed off at Will because of what he did. So Will is the villain, and Chris seems to be the victim. So let's flip the whole scenario. Let's say Chris would have said something about the LGBTQ community. Let's say Chris would have said something about white women. Let's take it far left. Let's say Chris would have said something about the Jewish community. Then would the same response be coming from the black community in that manner in which it is now, because it was two black men?
Absolutely not.
No.
So
absolutely not.
So when we look at it from that point of view, it's always a double standard to where when you look at the whole, when you look at it from a broader perspective, why would anyone get mad or even take the side of either one, even though they took Chris's side? It's two black men going at two black men. In my opinion, we should have all been on Will's side, because right now there's a divide in the black community between black women and black men. Black men have a lot of dirt to say about black women. Black women are throwing just as much shade as black men, but in the end, we're divided. Our communities are not together. So when you have a black man that stood up for a black woman on a national level, and you got to see it, even though we do that, it's not televised. We should have stood behind him, because that's his queen. There's no right or wrong to doing something that protects you. Just because you have an opinion about it doesn't mean that it's fact or it makes sense to the people who are going through whatever it is that they're going through. It just makes sense to you because you're on the outside looking in. But that's his woman. Whether you agree with it or not, you defend your loved one in any way that you possibly can.
Right. So flip it.
What were you saying?
If it had been a white comedian that made a joke about a black woman who was losing her hair because of alopecia, who got punched, the black community would not be in the uproar that they're up in right now. If it had been a white comedian making a joke and Will got up and punched a white man in the face, would we be having this conversation?
He wouldn't have done it to a white man.
That's about. I know that's right. We would have the sentiment that we are proud of him for standing up for a black woman in front of all these people who has been embarrassed or is perceived to have been embarrassed. So the double standards are wild, and they are here. And I just
that's why we can't go anywhere, because what Hakeem said, we're so divided. Wrong is wrong, right is right. Again, I feel like he was right because he defended his wife. Was it the time? Probably not, but I forget who said it, but every action has a reaction. So at that time, he was reacting. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, Hakeem said, it's about us always dividing ourselves, and we shouldn't have to do that. We just shouldn't have to do that.
Let's get Kenyatta. Let's get the young person's perspective. The young, beautiful generation. Are you millennial or are you Generation Z? What are you?
I'm millennial.
You're millennial still. Okay, so let's get the millennial perspective on this.
Okay, come on, Keith.
I feel like, I'm torn. I'm not saying that he's not wrong for defending his wife. I agree that it's a time and a place. I honestly think there's 3 wrongs. Chris Rock was wrong. Will was wrong. The Oscars as a whole was wrong. For like the simple fact that, no, you shouldn't have made a joke. Whoever you are, you should. It's an insensitive joke, whether you're a freestyler or not. You could tell on Chris Rock's face that when he said the joke, he didn't know how the joke was being taken. Mm-hmm. So when Will laughed, he was like, "Oh, that was funny. Okay, that was a good one." And then when Will got up, he was like, you could tell he wasn't embraced. Wasn't ready to get smacked in the face. No one's ready to get smacked in the face. I think Will was wrong for smacking him and then walking. He walked off like a smile, calmly off the stage. You calmly walk up and smack somebody and then calmly sit back down. You're on a whole nother level, my guy. You relax.
Yeah.
But I think the Oscars are wrong because you let someone get smacked in the face publicly and you didn't stop it. You didn't break. You didn't say, we'll be back in a moment. You didn't cut the mic. You didn't do nothing. You was like, keep going. You got smacked. But, well, that's it. I just feel like Will should have been, for someone who is so open and so willing to have like your business on the Red Table Talk, your business in social media, your business in articles, that like even feeling like you were fed up, because Chris Rock wasn't the only person that said something to Jada.
Mm-hmm.
Regina Hall said something to Jada, and Chris was just a ha ha. Everybody was just like, we'll have the whole belly laughing. But it was like the fact that you felt like at that moment you had to say something or you had to react to Chris Rock when it wasn't like everyone was looking around like, well, you just gonna let him say that? Like, it wasn't that type of atmosphere. And I feel like the fact that he felt justified, which he kind of is, but not 100%, the fact that he felt that justified to calmly smack someone in the face. Because I know when I was younger, I was told, you can talk all day, just don't put your hands on me.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to calmly smack me in the face and I not throw a shoe, chop you in your neck. Something like, that's not okay. So the fact that you felt so entitled to get up on national television in front of everyone and hit somebody and then calmly sit down and enjoy the rest of your night, that it just didn't, I don't like that. I
like your perspective that everybody holds accountability. I really, really like that, because a lot of people, like, you can see my passion point is what it is and other people's is what it is. But your perspective really gives thoughts where it's due on all parts, because you're right. There are 3 pieces of this that could have been handled better. So I like that perspective. Thank you for sharing.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
So, Kenyatta, I like how you said they kept rolling. He smacked them and they kept rolling. You know why they did that, right? We are the laughing stock of the whole world, right? So, but I didn't know for 3 days after the Oscars that Samuel L. Jackson got his first Oscar.
Yeah.
How come they didn't play that over and over? And Denzel Washington gave it to him.
Yes.
So, Hakeem, I agree with you. I'm married. I'll protect my wife. I will sit on the wall. I will blow the horn, and I will go to battle for my wife. But that's the only reason why I say there's a time and there's a place for certain situations. Because what Will did, I'm not saying that he was wrong for protecting his wife, but what I am saying is you were at the Oscars. What happened is he smacked him, and they said, keep rolling. This is good. We're going to eat this up. I woke up the next morning. It was on every daggone channel. Every social media. Look at this. Look at them. Look at them. I had the opportunity to work with a lot of celebrities. Okay, my cousin, because of what my cousin does. I think Shay and Karonica knows this. You know, I've been to Hollywood and everything like that. That's how they want to see us. That's how they want and when I say them, I'm not talking about black and white. I'm just talking about the elites, right? That's how they eat it up and all that. You know, when the black man does bad things and things like that, it gives them ratings. And that just blew my mind. I'm like, Samuel Jackson won an Oscar? And I didn't even know till like 3 days later. Right. Why didn't they play that over and over? Right? And then it all goes back to, I don't think it was Chris Rock's joke. I think, we got to pray for him. Because mental health is real. That man is going through something. Let's be real. When he got up and said that speech, when he got his Oscar, I felt some pain from him. He is going through something that is deeper than Chris Rock, that's deeper than the Oscars. I don't know if it's family. I don't know if it's demons. I don't know what it is. But that man is going through some mental problems right now. And it seems like it's been like that ever since this entanglement. I can't even think of the word entanglement without even thinking of Jada, right? She brought up that word. She humiliated that guy.
Did she humiliate him or did they both have extramarital relationships and hers just happened to come out? Because she didn't embarrass him. They had an agreement in place that they would have separate partners and partners together. So her little boo thing blew their spot up. But that wasn't her humiliating him. She had to address it. Because
I think that's how she says stuff. Like when she said that she cried all night long on her wedding night. Like it's like certain things can be, if you're a man, that's you're a woman. I can see how that could be like, dang, it's like certain things that she says. And I'm not saying that, I mean, what they do is what they do, but I can see how, you can even tell when he was doing the interview with her on the red table, whoever watches it, you could tell he was uncomfortable when he made a comment about something, and she was like, oh, well, I don't really see it like that. And he kind of had to swallow that. You could see he swallowed it. Like,
he did.
Yeah. So I think it has a lot to do with they are different. Will said it himself. He wanted a traditional relationship. She did.
Let's hear from Brother Michael. Brother Michael, we got
Yeah, I had to get to my iPad, my phone. I don't know what's going on. Illuminati, you know what I'm saying? The Illuminati. I'm gonna put it on there. But what I was saying is, Chris was reading a teleprompter. There's a guy named Calvin T. Porter, a comedian, who went to Twitter and said, I wrote the joke, the skit that Chris Rock used as the joke towards Jada. So he's reading this teleprompter. Him and Will supposed to be friends or have some kind of connection. They already had problems from 2016 with him speaking on Jada and him doing the Oscars, right? Nobody said nothing about that, right? So now, here we go. You don't know what's going on in Will's mind with them coming to this Oscar. When do we as black men take our women under consideration, right? Bruce Lee said, there's no right and wrong to freedom. There's consequences to your deeds and your actions. In the heat of the moment, that man had to make a conscious decision to go on that stage. He had to make a conscious decision to go on that stage. And he chose to do that. So he knows where he's at, and he knows there's going to be consequences to what he's about to do. So he made that decision to do that. Whether we agree with him or not, that's not our call. Because it's like this right here. If he wouldn't have said anything, what would the headlines would have been the next day? Everybody would man memes and
he a punk.
G.I. Jane memes would have came out. So when that man looked over to his wife, I don't care how much he was laughing. One thing we got to understand, when you laughing at jokes, then another joke come and you in the middle, then you realize, hold up, wait a minute. Something's going on here. Then
did I just get played?
Say what now?
You like, did I just get played? Did they just
right?
Yeah.
And so he looks over at his wife and he sees the expression on his wife's face. What man in his right mind would look over to his wife and see her and it's on national TV and see the pain in that woman's eyes? If you go back, they showed that pain in that woman's eyes to where this man got to make a decision with this. See, we talk about with the black man. Y'all don't remember when Chris Rock was on somebody's talk show and he was dogging out black people? And he was making jokes with them talking about, I don't care if y'all use the word nigga. We nigga this and then white people on the show talking about being nigga, using the word nigga. See, Chris Rock plays into what's going on. And so Will Smith, like I say, we don't know what took place beforehand with them and their relationship, but notice what that man said. Keep my wife's name out your effing mouth. That means he don't have his wife's name in his mouth more than one time. And so even though we don't agree with the place that it was done, we got to agree with that man was hurt from looking at his wife's face. Now, any man that take his wife under consideration, see the pain in her face, he still got to go home to him. I don't care what their personal life is and what they say on some red table, brown table, or blue table. That's their personal
Come on,
Mike.
And we'll say,
you preaching now, Mike.
We'll say, stay out of my business, mind your own business. Even if they got it on TV, that's their personal reality, and they chose to do that, and that ain't none of our business. But how many times we crack jokes on family members, but somebody outside crack a joke on a family member, we busting their ass.
Ooh.
So just
it's time to
we
find a connection plate.
Right, just because we go through something with a family member, that don't mean somebody else can step in and make mockery of our situation, our circumstances. No matter what that woman said on a TV show, she's still a woman. And if we don't start taking our black women under consideration and somebody making mockery of her, That woman got kids. They got children. That man did what he felt was right by his woman. And can't nobody say he's wrong for how he chose to protect his woman. We can say he was wrong when he did it to that. But guess what? The Oscars would have done. They wasn't mad enough to not let him go up.
Well, they said, but they said they asked him to leave. They wanted him to leave, but he
Now,
didn't.
I don't think they actually came to him personally to
They
ask
said
him.
they asked his publicist.
It was his publicist.
Oh, okay.
Because just think, they got police officers, security, and all that all up in the Oscars. And if they really wanted that man to leave, they would have told that man, they would have escorted that man out of there. Right? If they really didn't want that man, they would not let that man go on their stage. They allow that man go on that stage and make that speech and say what he had to say. Huh? Why? Because they know. They know. One thing you got to realize, you dealing with people on a level where they really trying to shame black men on that level. Look at Kanye. Look at Will. Look at others that they have shamed in the public, and now they're in a position with Will Smith that they had an opportunity to make mockery of his wife and before the world. Before the world. Not that she cut her hair off just to be doing it, but this woman has a medical condition, and you don't know what him and his wife done talked about that medical condition, what she talked about with her children about that medical condition, and then to get on TV and I ain't gonna call him Uncle Tom. That's too good.
Oh, well, you just said it, Michael.
So y'all can read between the lines there, right? So he got up there and read a teleprompter with this joke on it and chose to say it. And he knew he was wrong. This is why he had to respond like he responded. Because he knew, damn, I made a mistake. I shouldn't even have did that joke. He knew that in his heart. Because you dealing with, he know Will Smith. He done been around Will Smith. He know. We gotta stop playing with this celebrity thing and gotta understand. Pain is real, like the brother said, Rico said, mental health. I'm diagnosed with non-combative post-traumatic stress disorder. I see a therapist. You don't know what type of situation you'll put me in where I'm triggered.
Yeah.
So you don't know what triggered Will Smith.
Do you think you have that perspective because you can relate to the mental health understanding? Do you think that you can share? Okay. What about all the other gentlemen on the call? Do you think that where's the compassion or the passion for the mental health portion of it? Rico, you opened up that part of the dialogue.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was saying. Like if you look at it on both ends, I'll just keep saying it. I just think it was the wrong place to do what he did. But at the same time, I think Will's just going through something right now, and I think it was just a buildup of everything. And everybody jokes and everybody wants to pick sides and everything, but God forbid if this man would have taken his own life, then nobody's laughing no more. But he's calling out for help, and that's why people with mental health, most of them, you don't even know that they have problems. Robin, they're the ones that are the happiest. It seems like, and maybe. I don't know. I just feel that Will is going through some stuff right now. But at the same time, I forgot, this isn't my quote, but it was a movie that I saw. I can't remember, back in the day. They said when someone hollers, you got to learn to whisper, right? You can't. That's just why I feel like it was, he shouldn't have did it at that place. Now, he should have, if he would have went up to him and told him, I'm going to talk to you later, or like somebody else said on here, cut the mic off, cursed him out or whatever. Or if they had that talk before the, like everybody said, Chris Rock and Will Smith had that talk before, that's a different situation, but we don't truly know that, right? So going back around to the mental health aspect of it, we just got to pray, especially for our black men, because they're getting hit the hardest, you don't know what they're going through, man. So
you was mentioning mental health. I was listening to Benzino earlier, and he was speaking on Chris Rock his facial expression and what he could have been possibly thinking in the moment after the slap. And he compared it to what if he had left there and to be a Tupac situation where he gets shot up when he walks out. He said, because you don't know his entourage, because Chris is from Brooklyn. Even though he took the high road on stage, you hit him, it was another part of him you don't know about too.
And Chris got 10 brothers.
It's the same thing with Will.
That's what Stephen A. Smith said. He didn't know Will didn't know and realize that he could have got his behind whipped because he didn't know Chris Rock's entourage. So for him to walk up there and, as Yada said, calmly turned around, you know, if you guys are out in the street, you ain't turning your back. You just not doing it.
But
unless you think you're the biggest, baddest thing out here, you just might.
But
that goes back to, let me put this up.
What is it?
Cognitive behavioral
therapy. Okay.
And cognitive processing therapy for PTSD.
Okay.
I do my research and investigation. You got what is called a cognitive model. It says situation, thought, emotion, behavior. Situation, something happened. Thought, the situation is interpreted. Emotion, the feeling occurred as results of the thought. Behavior, an action in response to the emotion. So when he's going through something, the situation took place. He told a joke. Thought. Will had to interpret this thought, what was going on in his head. Emotion, anger, behavior. Then he responded with a behavior. Whether we agree with it or not, when you suffer from a mental illness, you are not rationalizing in the moment. So it's easy in foresight, after that man talked with Denzel Washington, after he talked with Tyler Perry, after that man was sincerely hurt. So when when he went up on stage, then you could see the emotion of the pain of what happened, of what took place, and the embarrassment of doing it at the Oscars. But as I said at the beginning, Bruce Lee said it best, and Brother Hakim know I use this here in my everyday walk. There's no right or wrong to freedom. There's only consequences to your deeds and actions. And if you are willing to accept the consequences to your deeds and actions, then you have to live with that. And so that was the decision Will made to go up on that stage. We just happened to get to see it, right? Mm-hmm. Samuel Jackson did get an award. You know why you didn't know about it until 2 or 3 days later? Because he didn't get it in the public.
Correct.
They did not publicly give that man his award. So I know we got, I think about 20 more minutes left, but before we get more into depth, I just want to first say, Mike, I appreciate you as well as my co-host for you being vulnerable to talk about PTSD, to give us knowledge on your therapy and what you have to process. So I don't think a lot of people even thought what you were saying to be a part of what happened. So we appreciate your vulnerability and the fact that you were willing to share what you go through on a daily basis and what you're working through. So thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All praises due.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
So Shay composed some questions. She intelligently put together some subjects so that we could have a wrangled conversation here. So Shay, did you get the questions, or do you mind if I read one of them? And I believe that she's frozen. So
yes. Okay, right.
Take the liberty of asking one that we haven't touched on. She said, question number 2, do you believe that women in this have responsibility for de-escalating the situation when a man gets out of character on her behalf? So this is a perspective that we haven't discussed. Should Jada have had more of a hands-on approach to helping her husband to stay calm in the situation? Like, baby, I'm upset, but We will handle that later. So what do you guys think about her angle or her responsibility?
Well, let's let Shay answer because Shay been real quiet. Go ahead.
What I do know is after watching the Oscars, my point of view on Will changed. At first, I was just really shocked that he even did something like that. And then once I watched the Oscars and just saw the whole scenario go through like it did, I felt bad for him because I realized that he was really going through something mentally that obviously he wasn't able to handle. And I think as a woman, I would hope that she would have maybe stepped up and kind of like motioned to say, no, don't do that. Or kind of protected him because I felt like he didn't have anybody to protect him. He was protecting her, but who protected him?
Okay, so Hakeem, jump in with your perspective, please, and thank you.
Okay, so we're dealing with should Jada have de-escalated the situation, or that basically is a general question, or is it just pertaining to Jada?
To Jada.
Okay, I think that
in
depends.
general, yeah.
I think that depends. I keep hearing people say that, certain things deserve a place and a time, but I always look at the flip side of it. When is the right time or the right place? And the reason why I say that is because we can pick different scenarios and people will say, well, that wasn't the right time to do that. That wasn't the right time to do that. That wasn't the right time to do that. Well, then when is the right time? Because the way I look at things, it's like whenever you do it, that's the right time to do it, because that time may never come up again to where you're able to express yourself. Now, if we take it a little further, then in certain situations where with what we're dealing with now with Will and Jada, if they wouldn't have been in a setting in which they were in, let's say they were out on the street, then you might need to think twice about it, because doing something like that, it could cost you your life. It could cost you or your loved one to become seriously or critically injured. So it just depends on, where you're at, the vibe that's going on, your vibe, the people that you're dealing with, and their vibe as far as how you need to act or react in a situation like that. So there's no real way to really answer that question. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to decide on whether that is the time for you to do what you need to do, or you refrain from doing what you need to do. But that's my take on it.
Okay, Kenyatta.
As far as like Jada de-escalating anything, I feel like she could have. Like I don't know. It feels like I want to say weird, but it feels weird to say that she could have done anything, because everyone always says like, oh, women can need to do this and women need to do that. I mean, like, that is a thing, but like, if you know that you have put your stuff out there and y'all have like one-on-one, like been on the same page, like, okay, we're open, we don't care what the public knows, if it's our business, we're sharing. And because I think I remember like the end of last year, the beginning of this year, people were like petitioning for them to stop talking, like, we don't need to know your business, stop. And they still put it out there. So I mean, as far as like her de-escalating the situation and still like understanding, yeah, my feelings are hurt, if she was to like, if there was a scenario where she did de-escalate the situation and she did be like, yeah, that hurt my feelings, and I can see that you're ready to do something, but let's handle that after later. Like the same thing, just to be like, even if like the conversation was before, like, don't make any jokes about me, don't make any jokes about her, and you still do it. No, there is a time and a place, but at the same time, there isn't a time and a place. To go back to like what you were saying, like the time, if you feeling something, the time is now. Speak up or shut up. Like that's a really bad, but it's where it comes down to. But if that was a conversation beforehand, then that was also the time is you make a comment about me or her, it's going to be a problem. So it's not going to be a shock that, okay, you made that joke and I didn't know you were going to, no, I told you, don't make the joke and this is what's going to happen. You made the joke, now that would happen. But even at like, if she were to do something, because it was like the camera was panning on her and Will and Chris just to see who was going to get the reaction. And I didn't see Jada laugh. I saw that from the beginning. She laughed at Regina's joke, but she didn't think Chris' joke was funny. She was looking at him like that was very distasteful, and I'm gonna let you have that one. But like you can tell that she was irritated by it. So if she were to say something to Will, I feel like it should have been along the lines of like, I do have a problem with that. I can understand that you know I have a problem with that. I can understand that you're upset by it. But let him have his moment. We'll get him afterwards. Like, let him have his moment, but we'll get him afterwards. I feel like that was the best way she could do it.
I hear you. Come on, preacher.
Okay, Veronica, give us some perspective, sis. Come on, jump on in here.
Okay, when I looked at when it comes to Jada, I'll start there first. I'm almost not sure, just by looking at the footage that I just recently saw, if she was shocked herself that he did it. Like, boy, I think, like, if this part, like, I'm curious of what she's gonna say, because I'm not sure if she expected him to do that. But at the same time, for me, if I need someone in my life that is going to keep me on the level ground, because if anybody knows me, I can smack somebody every day. I mean, it's always something that can have me triggered. I mean, so I need somebody to like chill out, you know, it ain't worth it. I need somebody to keep me calm. So I think you have in a partnership, if you both, or if you're the calm one in the situation, you got to kind of open the other person's eyes to be like, okay, look, this ain't it. Because you see what's around. You see what the outcome. You're looking clearly on what's going to happen in the end. The other person's out of it. They're not seeing that. So I think as a partner, you should have each other's back in that way too. Like, because if you pump me up talking about go get him, I'm going. You know what I mean? I'm gone. But I'm just saying, I'm gone. That's all you gotta do is tell me. But I'm just saying that I think that as a partner, yes, we have responsibility. That's in relationships, period. Nobody wants to go out with a friend that is always cutting up and they always gotta be in this fight and all this stuff like that. So I just feel like that you do have a responsibility to each other. If you're the one in your right mind at that moment, and you can see, you already know, oh, I can see how this can go 15 different ways. If you're out and about and you see that they got 10 people over there, but when the person's mad, they might not be seeing all that. So I do feel like that we do have a responsibility to protect each other.
Makes sense.
That's a good perspective. Zedric, what you think?
I think a soft word turns away wrath. You know, it is in any situation. I think we need balance. Not too much this way, not too much that way. But in their case, there definitely been some stuff that hadn't been balanced. You know, like she did an interview with Oprah where she pretty much emasculated him publicly, saying it's like being with a woman. Making love to him was like being with a woman, you know. Stuff like that helps people to form an opinion. You know, he's probably dealing with stuff himself, just been in a relationship with her. You know, there's always been something with her and him going back to Tupac. So it's always been something, and maybe something he needed to live up to, you know. Maybe that's weighing on him. But I think in that situation, she could have said something to him that could have made it a better situation. But who knows if she didn't want him to smack her?
Yeah, a lot of people think that's good. Yeah, a lot of people feel like that.
She could have said she knew what he was going to do when he went up there. She knew because that's her husband. She know him. So I just hindsight. I hope him and whatever situation he's going through, they work it out, because he's going to spill over into some of the avenues of his life and business and stuff that he's doing. I don't think he need to come off as an angry black man, you know, so he's going to have to find a way to deal with it.
We know him historically as the boy next door. So that's the thing that's like, everybody's talking about the pressure on Will. Yeah, the pressure's coming from the networks. It's coming from us, the people who have put him on this pedestal and don't allow for him to be human. Because all of the people who, oh, I expected more from him. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm so upset. I'm disappointed. I'm disgusted at his humanity. Have you ever broken your character in a situation like, oh my God, I am so mad at myself. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, so does the whole world, just because you're a celebrity, you deserve to be ridiculed until people feel like they're done talking about it? You've been in a situation where you said you were sorry or you moved past the situation and people keep on bringing it to you and you're like, yeah, I'm nice most of the time. That one time you saw me lose it, now that's the narrative? Like, that's it forever? Like, now that's where I live now? No, and I don't necessarily appreciate the narrative that Will is some weakling who's just being, oh, he's just so, no, this man does not, look, he has accomplished some of the greatest accomplishments that one can set out to do. And he lives a very full life. And yes, he puts himself out there and his family out there. So he does, I mean, he's very transparent. He's very out there with who he is as a person. Why are we acting like he's some weak guy who's being blindfolded and walked around into this lifestyle that's just so sad and so poor him? He loves her. He with her. He's doing the red table with her. If he didn't like it, he would have got up and walked off. If he didn't like it, they wouldn't have aired it. I mean, we're saying he's so caught up in his wife and this spell and her witchcraft, but isn't he still there? Hasn't it been 20 years? Like, what are we talking about?
And it's funny you should say that because his mom, because who was that said Jada knew what he was going to do when he went up there? I don't know that he knew or she knew, because in that moment, as Michael said, you don't know what your reaction is. And his mother, I don't know if you guys saw it. I don't know if she was on Good Morning America or some talk show, but she said that she wasn't expecting her son to do that because he's never done anything like that.
It's not his character.
So, right. So if that's not his character, then don't we have to rewind the tape to understand? And I forget, everybody was talking about so much that from the time that they got married and Jada's mother told her to marry Will because she got pregnant. And we also talked about how she didn't want to be married because she didn't want a traditional marriage and he wanted one. So he had no intentions of being divorced. And I'm saying all that to bring it back together to, we just don't know. We can have our opinions all day long, conversations and opinions. Everybody got them. But at the end of the day, I think Rico said it best. We just got to pray for them. Not only them, for the rest of us to have some sort of compassion and say, well, we don't really know what they going through behind closed doors, because that's a medical issue. And I forget who said it, but we don't know what they went through while she was going through her alopecia at their home behind closed doors. How many nights she might have cried. He had to comfort her or whatever. So again, conversations and opinions, I just feel like, this is the last thing I'm going to say. I feel like he was right in defending his wife, but out on the street, I don't know if Chris would have been as gracious as he was.
At the end of the day, Will is a grown man. Will has to speak for all of his actions. I don't know what else to explain, that when I can't go and just do what I want to do when I want to do it and think that nothing's going to ever happen to me in the long run.
Yeah, I'm just saying, speaking from experience, I've had a Will Smith moment before. I mean, so I understand how you can get there. But if the question is, do I think, if my opinion is it right? I didn't think it was right the way I handle things. But I'm just saying that it's going to hurt Will more than it's going to hurt Chris. That's all I'm saying. Like, when you're in a situation, it's gonna hurt him more than it will hurt Chris. It actually helped Chris, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if we
ticket prices went up, and holding back a lot of Will's movies on Netflix.
Yeah, so I'm
lot.
looking at the bigger picture of his family, the fact that it would happen, like anything. I mean, really, these are rich people problems. But I'm saying, like in real life, if that was us, we just can't go in our job and smack somebody because you got a family to feed. You got to. I mean, when you really think about it, it just don't work like that. I mean, you can do that, but how many times is that going to work out? It's not going to work out for you that well. Will Smith got back. He was able to sit back in his seat and enjoy the show. That's not going to happen to the average person.
I agree 100% with that. That is a fact. And there is going to be no canceling Will Smith. Everybody can say what all they want to say. There is not going to be a canceling Will Smith. But I think that the wrong part for me is everybody acting like they don't get it. Because if it were a different role altogether, somebody's teasing your child and you see your child FaceTime, I'm flipping. I'm going, it's just going to be a problem from the jump. Or if it's your mother or your sister, or it just depends. Like I can't imagine a place in time where I wouldn't defend one of my family members or a loved one in a situation where somebody was hurting them. Like, if words or not, like, I don't care. I'm a very rational human being, but if my child has a history of being bullied and I'm witnessing the bullying, I'm not going to be diplomatic in my approach to the response when I'm feeling protected in that moment. Now, if I act crazy and embarrass myself, I think about that later. But in the moment, I'm not thinking, well, the proper way to handle this is to just walk away, explain to my son that talking this out is the way to go. That's not my rational first reaction when I see somebody hurt. So I just wish that people would stop acting like they don't get it. And we all understand it, because if it were you standing right there and somebody says something to another person that you love, your child, like I said, or your spouse, I don't think you don't know what you're going to do until you're in the situation.
I think it's just all about the setting that they are in. Clarissa, I definitely agree with you. I mean, if we out on the streets, if I'm at somebody's house and they're joking on my wife or they're joking on my kids, and it's a medical issue or situation that they maybe can't control, I'm gonna have some words to say. I'm gonna protect them. But in a setting like that where, and I know a lot of people saying that, everybody keeps saying it's comedy, but I mean, that's Chris Rock's job. That's why they hired that man to do the Oscars. It's comedy. So anybody remember Def Comedy Jam?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This generation or whoever Def Comedy Jam would have been canceled.
Yeah.
They got on everybody, no matter what.
Yeah.
It's comedy. And I get it, but like I said, I look at both ends of it. If they did have conversations, Chris Rock and Will Smith, about the alopecia, and again, you don't know what Will Smith and Jada went through with that medical condition. My aunt actually has alopecia, so I understand it. It really, women's hair, you don't play with women's hair, right? But at the end of the day, that's just what I keep coming around to. It's the Oscars. It was comedy.
Yeah.
So to go to Clarissa, what you were saying, I think it just all depends on the setting that you are in. Now, if he would have just kept coming at Jada and nobody else, Jada, and then really talked about, okay, but I mean that's just where I'm at with it. It's all about the setting that you're in.
I get it.
Yeah, I think it also it really says a lot about the relationship that Will and Jada have, to where a man could step out of character, because I don't think that's really his character, in my opinion, of him going up there and smacking.
Oh, they got it again.
Why don't we, since we are nearing the end of our time here, why don't we give our guests an opportunity to just give their last 30 seconds of commentary? Let's start at the top. I don't know where everybody. Go ahead, Chronica.
And when you close out, if you guys could just answer the question, like, what does protecting Black women look like for you in your closing?
We can start with Rico, and then we'll work our way down the screen. So Rico, Kenyatta, Hakim, Michael, and Zedric.
What does protecting Black women look like? Mm-hmm. You gotta protect them at all costs. I mean, again, if we're talking about a setting, just the real world, you gotta protect them at all costs. I think I said it earlier. I'm sitting on the wall, I'm blowing the horn, and I'm fighting for my family, for my wife. I'm not going to let anybody disrespect my wife. You know, I'm not going to let anybody come after her. I have protection in many ways, right? So I think the black woman definitely should be protected because the black woman is a target in this world, you know, and they're going through, you know, they try to minimize the black woman. And again, yeah, the black woman definitely needs to be protected at all costs. So
thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rico. Kenyatta?
I think what protecting a black woman looks like, I think that means protecting all black women, not just pick and choosing which black women that you see fit to or you see more attractive to. It means protecting them at all times, no matter what. So that means even if someone is saying something out of pocket on social media and you don't even know that black person or that black woman personally, it's relax yourself. If that was your mother, would you want someone to say the same thing to her the way you're saying it to this woman? Now, I feel like if it was someone more immediate, you know, like if you're your family or your friend, then the protection would be amped up a level. So then now it's like, okay, now let me come talk to you to the side. Now let me come address you personally. And I feel like with protecting black women, there should be no limitations. But also using that word lightly. Now that doesn't mean go blow up the world. That just means like, just know that when you are saying something, think about how it would feel if someone was like saying something to your mother. Because I feel like a lot of like people in this generation or just people in general, black people in general, when they say something to whether it be a black man or a black woman, they don't realize that like at one point somebody in your family, somebody you knew was the same age as me. So you calling me out of my name or you doing something, that was your grandmother, that was your sister, that was your cousin, that was your mother. It's just you need to, when you are protecting someone, you feel like it's precious. And at what point do you feel like a black woman is precious enough to protect her the same way black men always feel like a black woman should have their back or should bring something to the table when half of these men out here are only bringing napkins? At what point do you feel like you should protect someone?
All right, Queen. Yeah.
go ahead, dust your shoulders off, Yada.
That's right. Come to the stage for us.
Who we got next? Hakeem?
We got Hakeem up next.
Okay. How would I go about protecting black women? I would look at it from this point of view. Whatever way the fight comes, that's the way I'm going to protect my woman. Meaning, if it's a physical thing, I'm going to meet that physical thing with something physical. If it's on an intellectual level, I'm going to meet it on an intellectual level. If it's on a spiritual level, I'm going to meet it on a spiritual level. Whatever way the fight comes, that's the way I'm going to respond to it. So I guess that pretty much corners the whole scenario of how should a black woman be protected and why we should protect them. Whatever way the fight comes, I think that's the way we as men need to respond to whatever way, you know, it comes towards your woman. Respond appropriately whenever it is concerning us as a people, our women, our children, and even us as men. Whatever way they bring the fight, that's the way you take it back to them.
Okay. Who we got next? Cedric or Michael? Cedric?
Okay. With me, I guess my response would be with what I do every day. I work with kids. So start with the youth. Teaching boys how to be men, how to respond, how to be protectors, emotionally, physically. I teach them, you know, whatever you see, how you protect your mother, protect other women like that. Because if she's not somebody's mother, she will be. If she's not your sister, she's someone's sister. You know, so reach out to them in different ways. If you see she's hurting, because lately there's been a lot of situations where girls not having fathers, not having one to talk to. They've been doing things they shouldn't do. But I'm teaching boys to at least be there to hear her. Don't respond to what she's projecting because you know it's coming from a hurtful place.
Mm-hmm.
But at least be willing to listen. Be willing to listen. Sometimes that's all it takes.
That's right. That's right.
That was powerful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Preacher Mike.
Look at him.
Preacher Mike.
I'm gonna tell you something. I ain't protect the black woman. You buy a fucking gun. Nah. One thing we gotta realize, and I got a daughter, got two daughters, I got 5 daughters, and I got nieces, and female cousins. Brother Akim know one of my key things is I can't protect what I can't control. So if I can't teach them, I teach my daughters. I teach the women around me how to carry themselves and what they should expect from a man. Because it ain't always got to be in the public. They getting disrespected in their own relationship.
Yes.
So we are spiritual beings living in a human experience. So the first thing I need to protect their mental and spiritual ability to think. Jada suffers from a mental illness just as well as Will.
Yeah.
So you got to guard their spirit first.
Mm-hmm.
And so the best way to protect the black woman is to protect her mentally and spiritually. So when it comes down to situations, circumstances that might cause a physical altercation, you're both in harmony and in agreement with each other to know you protecting somebody that you value and you know her worth. And we'll know his woman worth, whether we agree with it or see it or not. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but he protected that woman's spirit and that woman's mental ability to be his wife. So the best way we can protect a black woman is to first let her know she's valuable to us.
Well, that's a high note to end on.
Yes, and I'm passing a collection plate for all of us. Make a collection for Preacher Mike.
All of our guests have been amazing tonight.
Yes, they have.
It's so nice to have extra other people on here because it's usually the 4 of us going back and forth.
Yes.
And most of the time it's, you know what, sometimes it's 2 against 2, sometimes it's 3 against 1, sometimes everybody is by themselves. So it's really nice to have other faces, other perspectives. So thank you, Rico. Thank you, Kenyatta. Thank you, Hakim. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Zedric. And Karonica, Tarvis, Shay, thank you guys for putting this together. This was a really nice episode of Conversations and Opinions. So I'm happy.
This was all Ronnie and Shay. Close, because I've been dealing with a headache situation for 3 weeks.
Thank our co-founders for creating this platform tonight, and we look forward to adding more substantial conversations to our platform. So maybe we'll see you again on another episode.
Oh, indeed. Please invite me back. I enjoy myself.
For sure, Preacher. We got you covered.
Thank you for having me.
We got you covered, Preacher Mike.
Thank you guys so much.
Bye.